Alrighty, YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with another Washington Commanders video, and in today's video, I'm coming on here to talk about Sauce Gardner and should the Washington Commanders draft him if he somehow falls to 11. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, or in this case, our Washington Commanders. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. We're almost there, so hit that subscribe button again if you haven't already. Now let's get straight into today's video. So Sauce Gardner, Ahmad Gardner, cornerback, Cincinnati. Let's talk about him. So he is, without a doubt, the most popular player in this draft. When you look at all these first-round talent, I don't think no one has more swag or internet clout than Sauce Gardner. Honestly. He's been the most talked about player in this whole entire draft class. I first found out about Sauce Gardner 2 seasons ago. Now you guys know I don't watch college football or basketball for that matter. But I do watch the big time games, college football playoffs, and I'm gonna watch, I haven't watched none of March Madness, but I'm gonna watch the Final Four and, the actual championship game. That just doesn't, I'm just not interested in all that. That's neither here nor there, though. But I don't watch collegiate sports, really. But again, I do watch the playoff games. And this past playoff season in football, the Bearcats surprised everyone and actually made it to the tournament. And along with Desmond Ridder being a main topic, Sauce Gardner was a guy that was talked about a lot. And I found out about Sauce 2 years ago. And he's without a doubt the best cornerback in this draft. Derek Stingley may have something to say about that, but according to all the experts, number 1 is Ahmad Gardner, Sauce Gardner, and some mock drafts even have him going as early as 4 to the New York Jets. So this video is here to talk about the Washington Commanders, and if somehow he falls to 11, should we take him? Now let's talk about our cornerback position first and foremost. William Jackson we just paid this past offseason, not this one, but the last one. Then the season before that, the offseason before that, we reunited with Kendall Fuller. And then this past April, we drafted Benjamin St-Juste. So those are 3 cornerbacks right there. And this free agency that just happened, or the one that's currently going on now, we re-signed Danny Johnson. So that is our cornerback position headed into the 2022 season. And me personally, I'm fine with it. Like, could you upgrade it? Yeah, you could always upgrade any position on your team. But if you tell me my 3 corners are Juice, Fuller, and Jackson headed into week 1 versus, let's just say, I'm just going to say Philly at Philly, I'm cool. I think these guys, we have a tandem that could be really, really good if these guys, one, learn how to play with each other quicker, because you remember that was a big issue with our whole secondary last year and the early parts of the season is miscommunication, everyone not know how to play with each other. If we learn how to play with each other sooner, and then everyone can stay healthy, i.e. Benjamin St-Juste, who I think has a lot of potential to be really, really good in this league, but he just couldn't stay healthy this past season, I think we could be really, really good at those 3 cornerback spots. But then, let's say next month, because I think the draft starts today, next month, like April 28th next month, right? Let's say you're there at 11. Somehow, Ahmad Gardner, Sauce Gardner falls to 11. And you're in a dilemma where no one wants to trade back with you, or no one wants to come up and trade up, so you don't have nobody to trade back with. Because, again, this quarterback class is looked upon to be really weak, and nobody really wants to come up for a quarterback, unless you're like Pittsburgh, that wants Malik Willis or Desmond Ridder, and you feel like you have to jump the Washington Commanders to get him. Then I could see a possible trade scenario. But other than that, I don't think no one's really going to be wanting to trade for Washington, so I think we're going to pick somebody at 11. So let's say Sauce is there at 11. Do you take him? Yeah, you take him. I personally look at it like this. Cornerback isn't a huge need for us, but at that point in time at the draft, you're taking BPA. And if Sauce Gardner is BPA at 11, you have it's a no-brainer. You have no choice but to take Sauce Gardner. And he's going to immediately come in here and be your number 1 cornerback. He's going to push Kendall Fuller, or not Kendall Fuller, William Jackson to number 2. And then that's where you have that dilemma battle for number 3. Do you put Juice as your slot, or do you put Kendall as your slot? I think I will roll with Juice. And then that means, where do you do with Kendall? Do you push him to free safety? But then again, you just paid Bobby McCain, and I think they're paying him to be their starting free safety. So again, it's like, what do you do? That's why it may not be that smart of a decision to draft Sauce, but again, it's BPA. Either way it goes, you can never have too much depth at the cornerback position either. So I think we will be in a good spot. But again, will it really make sense to draft Sauce? Because you already have 3 cornerbacks on this roster that's capable to start at a high level. Again, I would personally do it if it's BPA. If no one wants to trade with me and it's BPA and Sauce is there, which more than likely he's not going to be there. I think he's going to go to number 4 to the Jets. But again, you just never know how draft night happens. You never know how it's going to fall. So just in case, if it happens, should we take him at 11? Yes. Now, let's talk about Sauce Gardner and let's learn a little bit about his draft profile. So, Cincinnati, Detroit, Michigan Jr., 6'3", 190 pounds. And at the combine, he ran a 4.41. So his speed isn't a problem. He can run with the best of them. Now let's talk about his player bio. Overview: long, lean, and linear. Gardner's physical and football growth are on full display when comparing his 2019 tape to his 2021. He's highly competitive with a confidence level that would be labeled as cocky by some evaluators. Sauce uses length and hand activity to impose his will on the release and install the route on the tarmac. Staying connected to the route is a priority, which leads to grabbing when he feels is slipping away, but that can be corrected by improving his footwork and trusting his technique. His movements lack fluidity, but he's urgent and aggressive or aggravating in man-to-man coverage, which can become a deterrent for NFL quarterbacks scanning to his side of the field. If he can avoid a big spike in penalties, he adjusts to the NFL officiating, Gardner has the traits and demeanor to be a highly effective CB1 within the first couple seasons. So that's a little bit of an overview of Sauce Gardner. So obviously we know his strong suit is man-to-man coverage. They say that he lacks fluidity in his footwork and in his movements. So that is some things that he has to work on going into the NFL, and that's not a big issue, right? You can always get better, especially if he comes here and work with Chris Harris, so that's no issue. His strengths: tall corner with long limbs and sticky hands, desired blend of confidence and competitiveness, allowed just 6.6 yards per reception in 2021 according to PFF. Pressures like a boxing match with jabs and flurries, punches and post through release phase, digs the grave and buries an outside release, acceleration for opening to stay connected to the route, improved eye balance in 2021, recognize play development and alter assignments accordingly, create very cluttered workspace on the contested catches or contested catches rather, attacks passing lanes from off coverage with a burst of stride, had 2 career pick sixes, handled business when matched up against Alabama wide receiver Jameson Williams in the national semifinals. Now I'm glad they made that the final point, because that's what we're going to talk about here. So Jameson Williams obviously was supposed to be the #1 receiver in this draft, and maybe still be, but he suffered a torn ACL in the national championship game. But going back to the game before that versus Cincinnati, Sauce Gardner pretty much wrapped him up. I mean, he pretty much had him in a bottle, locked up, put him in the back of the jail car for that whole game, and that is supposed to be the #1 receiver in this draft. And Sauce proved that he is the #1 corner in this draft by doing a performance like that. So I'm glad they made that a point. Now let's talk about some of Sauce's weaknesses according to his NFL draft profile. Skinny legs with a below-average build, unnecessary disregard for his technique, plethora of holding and interference calls over 3 years, grabs and holds with pattern matching goes a worry, some hips tug when trying to flip and run, footwork needs to become a priority, average gather and go quickness from his pedal, inconsistent coming to balance in pursuit, catch and drags tacklers. So let's break down his weaknesses, right? So they said skinny legs with below average build. again, similar to the video I made about Chris Olave, and I know these are two different positions, weight is not an issue for me anymore. I don't care if you're 160 and you're 6'3" and you're bony. If you can play, you can play. So I don't care that he has a skinny build. That doesn't mean nothing to me. Benjamin St. Juste is skinny. He's long and lengthy and skinny. So that doesn't mean nothing to me. Unnecessary discard for his technique. So they're saying his technique is a little off. Again, I that is worrisome a little bit, but knowing he can come here and get with DB coach Chris Harris and all these guys on the defensive side of the ball, I'm not too worried about that. Plethora of holding and interference calls over 3 years. That could be a little worrisome too, because that can easily translate into the NFL, which is not good. But again, take it with a grain of salt. It's over the 3 years. We don't know how much of the holding penalties he really had, right? Inconsistent coming to balance in pursuit. Footwork needs to become a priority. So they're saying his footwork is a little off. And again, these things to me personally are things that you would worry about, but it's not nothing that would stop me from drafting him at 11. Especially at 11. This guy is projected to go number 4. If he falls to 11 and these are the only things I have to worry about with getting him better with, I would definitely take him. Because these are things that he can work on and get better over time, right? So yeah, man, if Sauce somehow falls to 11, I would take him, BPA. But again, I don't think it's going to happen. His NFL comparison is Richard Sherman, and I could see it. I think he may be a little bit more quicker than a Richard Sherman, but I could definitely see it from the standpoint of their player build and the cockiness and swag and things that they bring to the table together. So I can definitely see that. But yeah, man, let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section down below. How are you feeling about Washington possibly drafting Sauce Gardner if he falls to 11? Me and you both know he more likely than not won't be there at 11, but let's say he is. Are you taking him? Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section as always. It's me, boy, Juan Gotti. Like, comment,